In this video, I want to tell you about balance forwarding. This is very important. So if you're using a third-party email relay, so basically you want to send emails through a third party as opposed to using your G Suite or your corporate email that you have. The reason being that there's a lot of restrictions on G Suite, like you can't send more than something like 2,000 a day or something like that. So if you are sending serious number of emails, this is something that you have to set up, because third parties, if you use them, you're not going to have this issue with sending email through G Suite, right? So you separate out the sending and the receiving. So let me show you what I mean, right? So internet email protocol, I don't want to get too technical, but this is how it works, okay? There's SMTP, which is sending, and there's IMAP, which is receiving, right? So when you use G Suite, this is sort of transparent to you. Everything goes through Gmail. However, there's two different things that's happening. SMTP, which is sending, and it doesn't actually receive anything. And there's IMAP, which is actually receiving. So if you use a third-party email relay like SendGrid, you are sending through SendGrid, but receiving through Gmail, right? G Suite. Problem with this approach is, well, it's better because you can send more emails because there's no restriction on the number of emails you can send. However, G Suite, like I told you, has restrictions. So this works well for sending. However, there's a problem when you receive. When you receive a bounce email, for example, SendGrid needs to tell G Suite that hey, this email got bounced. Otherwise, SendGrid will just try and keep sending and sending, right? So what happens is your domain will get blacklisted. So depending on, of course, how clean your list is, obviously, if you use our stuff, our GetSalesFox obviously does a lot of the data collection for you. But if you're using some other email data source, for example, right? Even with all this cleansing and stuff like that, you might have an issue because there's like honeypots and these traps and things like that. I mean, I don't want to get too technical with the details, but anyway, email bounces will occur if you send out tons and tons of emails, right? So your SMTP needs to tell your IMAP that if a bounce occurred, you need to tell IMAP, okay? And the example that I'm using is obviously SendGrid. So you have to set up bounce forwarding on your SMTP to your inbox. And if you don't set it up, I mean, you don't want to lose your domain, right? I mean, this is a big thing that you have to watch out for. So let me show you how that's done, okay? So the first thing is, I'm using SendGrid. So if you use a different SMTP provider, if you're using corporate email, well, if you're using corporate email, I guess this doesn't apply to you. But if you're using SendGrid or any other email relay service, this is something they might want to set up. Okay, I think Amazon has this thing, but we don't. I personally don't use Amazon because they're super strict. But if you are using SendGrid or Amazon or anything, that they all have similar kind of labeling and terms. So I'm going to show you SendGrid. So what you want to do is you want to go to your settings, right? And you want to click on mail settings. And you should have this thing called forward bounce, okay? So that's something that you need to set up, okay? You have to click on this button. So normally it's like this, right? It's off, but you want to make sure it's on, okay? And why is it not on? Okay, so you want to make sure it's on, okay? You want to make sure, and it says use the from address, which means whatever email address you use to send the email, it's gonna forward the bounce to that email address. Now, that's how you set it up. Problem. Okay, so you might get a case of something like this. If you set this up and you send an email and you send an email that doesn't exist, right? And you don't receive it and you go to your inbox and you're like, hey, it's not there. That's because G Suite basically puts it in spam folder. Why? I don't know. So sorry about that. So yeah, where am I? Where's my face? Sorry about that. So you might get an email like this. This reason being that there's no reply at SendGrid or bounce at whatever SMTP relay you use. They don't recognize that, right? So what you need to do is you need to click on, obviously, report not spam, right? And that's not the only thing. Report not spam. And what you want to do is you want to drag and drop this to your inbox. Let me see if I can do that. Drag and drop to your inbox, right? So this tells Google that hey, this no reply at where is it? Sorry about that. There's no reply at this thing right here is actually a valid sender, right? But that's, you know, just to be safe, you want to add another thing where you actually whitelist the email address. So there, I'm gonna list the instructions on the. Let me see if I. It's kind of weird, but UPenn Warren Day. Where is it? Oh, here you go. So they have instructions. I don't know why they rank #1 for Google, but they show you instructions on how to whitelist your what do you call it? The email address. So what you want to do is, let me show you how that's done. So what you want to do is you want to click on this email settings button icon right here. I don't know, let me see. Make sure you guys can see. Okay. Make sure you click on that. Where's my face? Sorry about that. You want to click on the settings button, right? This little cog looking thing over here, right? And you want to click on settings, right? And what you want to do is you want to click on filters and address blocks, right? And you want to click on create a new filter. And here you want to include no reply at sendgrid.net or whatever your bounce email address, right? It might be bounce at whatever your service is .com or something like that, right? And you want to say, okay, create new filter, and then click on never send it to spam. Okay, and then you just create a filter, and then now you have this thing right here. All right, so that's how you set it up. I know it's a little pain in the butt to do it, but if you are using G Suite to send and receive, or just your corporate email, you probably don't have to do it. This only applies to you if you are using a IMAP service, i.e. receiving, that's different than your sending, your SMTP. Okay, so you need to set this up. Otherwise, GetSalesFox doesn't know when it gets bounced. So make sure to set this up. And if you're confused by this, leave a comment below or send an email, and I'll try to explain to you. And if you are one of our obviously paid members, of course, you know, we do this for you. So anyway, just letting you know in case you want to change your SMTP and all that stuff. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.